it was at this point where, the fulfillment was diminished. And then from that, on the flip side, what we were just talking about, then what it was starting to do is create this antsiness and like want and anticipation and excitement to do other things.
Yeah.
I started thinking in my head, I'm like, man, it'd be fucking awesome to run again. Like, I remember when I was running, like how awesome that felt. Like, maybe I'd like to do that again. Like, maybe I'd still like to do that when I can still actually do it, or maybe I'd like to, go live somewhere for a while and do something completely different, not worry about eating 6 meals a day. Or, maybe I want to run fucking marathons. Like, maybe I want to be an MMA fighter, like whatever it is. Like, I started to get so excited to do other things that it was like making me not excited about bodybuilding in the same way. And because I just wasn't feeling rolling.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome.
There's so many cameras, I don't even know where to look. I'm like, am I looking here? Am I looking here? Look at this one. I'll look at this one. You look across. Oh, okay. So I don't even look at the camera.
It's a podcast, not an interview.
See, when I always do the podcast, we're all in the computer, so I'm just like looking at the screen. I'm just looking at the screen.
It's more, you're safer there too, because you see your face. My whole body's exposed. Yeah. I feel like I need to cross my legs like a lady. But welcoming myself back to the podcast. I haven't been on here for a little longer, but even more important, we have Mr. Iain Valliere back.
Iain Valliere, back from Canada.
I can only introduce you as Iain Valliere.
I know.
I don't know how.
I feel like that's 90% of YouTube channels or like podcasts still say my name.
Or Bob Ciccarello.
Bob Ciccarello, fucking Milo Sarcev, like all these guys. Iain Valliere.
Valliere.
Even Greg Doucette, who coached me, will still say my last name, Valliere.
Valliere, yeah.
Yeah, but he says everyone's name wrong, so he can slide on that.
I think he does that on purpose to get a little bit of
I don't think he
reaction.
does, man. I think he's just like out to lunch with that. He just like doesn't care, just says what he thinks it is,
Yeah, I guess.
People could say in the comments, be like, dude, why are you saying his name like this? And he'll just not, it doesn't even like clue into him.
One of those people who's super smart, but they're oblivious of very specific
things like that are just like completely not things they focus on at all.
Yeah. But anyways, well, I feel like you've probably gone over a lot of this shit before, but I mean, on the Raw channel, maybe not everyone watches your shit, so talk about a bit of your recent journey so far. It's been pretty fucking crazy changes, Mr. Retirement over here.
Yeah. I know.
I love calling bodybuilders retired at the age of like 33.
It's weird. Even when I say it and I'll talk to someone and I'm like, I kind of like cringe using the word retired.
Yeah.
I'm like recently retired bodybuilder. I'm like, I don't even like saying that. Yes, I guess I am retired, but I'm just departed the stage. Yes. I'll say it that way.
Departed from the pro scene.
Departed from the pro scene, from the competitive stage. Departure from that world. But yeah, man. I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting to feel all the other things that life has to offer.
Yeah.
And I'm just like kind of getting out there and feeling what I like to do. I don't even know what I like. I don't even know what food I like. I don't even know what I like to do other than bodybuild. It's
that was a funny story I saw in your thing. You're like, I don't even know what food I like anymore. Yeah. I was just trying to learn what I like.
Yes.
Now.
Someone was asking me that. It's like, what are you excited to eat the most? I'm like, I have no idea. I literally don't know what I don't know. Like I have no clue. Like, and we were kind of talking about this before the podcast when we were over there. Like your appreciation of food when you're constantly eating with like sole purpose of like look and performance.
Yeah.
It, for me, especially because I'm not a big eater, it completely changed my relationship with food. Like I really, even if it was like coaches like go eat a meal off, I didn't really enjoy it because I was either so full from all the other food I was eating, or I was so like hyper fixated on like what it was going to do to me in a negative aspect, that your enjoyment and your relationship with food is like completely changed. Like you're just like a robotic, like eating meals strictly for the performance and the look of bodybuilding, and anything else didn't really have any room mentally or physically for me, Yeah. So like now it's like when I'm just kind of eating when I feel hungry, which is like a very foreign concept. Like
intuitive eating.
Intuitive. I remember the first day when I like really made the call and I looked over at Melissa that morning. I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, do I weigh this meal? Do I eat? Like, what am I supposed to eat right now? She's like, whatever the hell you want. Like, what do you feel like? And I'm like, just like we're saying here, I don't know. I have no idea what. Like, I don't know. Like,
I feel like you're in a very unique position to even most bodybuilders because, like, I mean, I'm probably more relaxed than a lot of open guys because I'm classic.
Yeah.
But like my 3 months post Olympia, I go to Aspen, we're traveling to New York, I go to restaurants, I'm chilling, I'm eating food that I love, I know what I love, and I'm experiencing it. You don't have any time like that.
No,
ever.
Not really, man.
You're like, I mean, like you have like 4 days maybe after the Olympia.
I'll maybe have a couple days post show. It's like, but it's been different. I mean, I've had shows where I've walked out of it on the other end where my appetite wasn't really that high. I didn't really care about eating. And I've had some where I've like crushed myself with the diet and I'm like, you have a few days where you eat and then it's like out of your system.
Eat a tub of ice cream then it won't
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, there was a few things I knew I liked, but like, I don't really know. There's a lot of things that maybe I'd eaten them in the past, but with how my relationship with food is, I didn't really think I liked it, but that wasn't like a true kind of testament of actually how I felt about the food, So it's like getting back out there and like giving some things some second chances. Like, it's like, Melissa loves like Mexican food, like stuff like that. Like, which I was always kind of like a little apathetic towards, but I'm like, maybe I should try this again with like a new outlook on this food, and maybe I'll have a different appreciation.
Can't beat a good taco.
Well, exactly. And I've already got out there. I'm like, I like this a lot better.
And now you can have cheese, sour cream,
oh my
and
God,
everything
yeah.
you want.
Shit. That's definitely, if I have to say one thing has been reintroduced in my life in copious amounts, it's fucking cheese, man. I'm making sandwiches, cheese, wraps, cheese. I'm like making a meal. I'm like, sprinkle some feta on there. Salad, cheese, like everything. I'm just eating cheese and everything. Like even when I got in last night and I went and stopped at the grocery store, first aisle I went to, cheese.
I'm jealous. I'll still shit my pants.
Put it on everything.
Even if I'm not bodybuilding, I'll shit my pants.
I'm trying to just get it back in, like fire it back into the diet. If there's going to be a rough acclimation period, I'll deal with it, but then we'll get through the other side of it and I'll be
build
good.
the gut strength.
Yeah, I'll build up those, lactase enzymes and we'll be good to go. So that's definitely something that I quickly discovered. Like I already knew I liked cheese, but definitely a newfound appreciation for foods like that when
you can literal cheese connoisseur now.
Yeah, man. Like I was already people already made the jokes with the charcuterie boards and like I knew I liked cheese. But like there's difference just eating like literal eating cheese versus like all the things you can incorporate it in.
Yeah.
It's like, man, eating a sandwich or eating a wrap and like throwing some cheese in there. Like what kind of we got a Vardy today, we got provolone.
Like scrambled eggs with shredded cheese on top.
Yeah.
Complete game changer.
Even Melissa made me a few wraps for when I traveled. And, she did one that was like steak with some like crumbled goat cheese in it and another one that had ground turkey with some like sharp cheddar in it. And I'm like, man, this is just so much better because this cheese isn't here.
Has Melissa been enjoying cooking for you too?
Oh yeah. I mean, like it's whatever. It's like I'll literally just go to the restaurant and go to the grocery store, buy chicken or something. And I just like go on Google. I'm like, tasty chicken recipe. Just like until I find some, I'm like, make this,
Yeah.
So like there was last week where she was making like I had some good like Mongolian beef kind of ones, I mean, shit, I don't know if you saw, I was baking cookies last week. I baked cookies twice in 1 week.
You baked them or Melissa did?
I did, twice. Wow. Yeah. So I made 2 different batches. I made like a peanut butter oatmeal one that was honestly amazing. And this is the irony of this, and I'm sure a lot of bakers see this, and maybe not, I don't know. But the first one I completely butchered the recipe. Because what I did is I read all the ingredients, and the ingredients list was first before like the order of operations.
So you just did it.
Well, I just put everything in a bowl.
Yeah.
And then the next step, it's like, put your dry ingredients in one bowl, put your wet ingredients, mix this. I'm like,
oh, fuck.
Shit, it's already all together. So I just took like the hand mixer and I just like mixed the living shit out of it because it didn't really want to mix well. But then it ended up turning out to be like legit one of the best cookies ever.
Really?
They were so good, man. They were like chewy, really good taste. And then the next week, I made like this fancy like brown butter pecan, like super good one. I followed the recipe to a fucking like to the letter, like everything, like every gram perfect to the 0.0, mixed it for exactly what it said, oven for exactly what it said. They were like, okay, so they were mediocre.
You should start a baking channel now.
I know people. I'm sure that'd be funny. I got a lot of people.
Doesn't have to be protein recipes, just cookies.
No, people think it's hilarious. Like, especially when you have, it's funny because it's like this big silly guy experiencing this whole new world that everybody else already knew about.
Yeah.
It's like I'm 35 years old, 33 years old, like, and like just experiencing like cookies and shit. And people like think it's hilarious. It's like, dude, do you not know this stuff was already out here? I'm like, no, this is great.
I can't get over the fact that like, I've always said this, like when we're at like, I have such a different perspective because like we'll be at Christmas and you're like not eating. You'll maybe have some treats, but like you don't want to.
No,
not like you can't. You're just like I don't want cookies. I didn't really want full. So you actually didn't like everybody else. Like Fuad would still like cheat and have shit. Everybody still has their shit. Yeah. You like wouldn't even experience it.
I didn't, man. It was just like
so fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I think partly from eating like so regimented on a diet for a long time, my body had kind of lost that like. It's like when you're in a prep sometimes, if you have like a little bit of sweet food, your body just wants more sweet food and more sweet food. It's like I had eliminated those from my diet for so long that like I stopped caring about it and I also stopped enjoying it even when I would have it.
Yeah.
It's like my body just like didn't really have like the taste or like the cravings or the sensations of like positive feedback from eating those kind of foods. But already, I mean, like within 2 weeks, you know, of like eating kind of intuitively, if we're going to use that term, you know, just eating when I felt hungry. I'm still eating, trying to eat very healthy, you know, and eat so that I can perform in the new physical endeavors I want to do. But definitely eating a lot less. So it's like this newfound like hunger and enjoyment for food has been created. And like over each week that goes by, you're like find yourself like wanting to try new things or like craving different things that I've like never craved before, you know? So it's exciting. It's like I said before, it's like someone's, I guess the closest thing is like someone that's like spent like a life in prison, you know? It's like they come out of prison, they're like, shit, like you guys got iPhones now, you know? Like I was using my flip phone back then, you know? And I'm like, yeah, this is all here. It's exciting to try, you know?
I was thinking like even like 200 years ago, people weren't like, oh, I'm craving ice cream and shit.
Yeah.
You're like, you pulled someone from like a different fucking world or time zone and plant them in a local grocery store. Like, have fun.
Yeah. So it's fun, man. It's fun to try new things and just like see all the shit that's out there, you know? And even like I was saying, even just from a physical standpoint, you know, like I had done literally the exact same goal in one way or another. Like obviously it kind of morphed over time with wanting to improve one body part versus another, but literally the exact same goal for like almost 20 years, you know, like 15, 16, 17 years, you know, of like be bigger, be more muscular, improve this part, you know, which look, I love bodybuilding. I'll always be a fan of bodybuilding. I'll always be very appreciative for, you know, everything it's given me in life. You know, but I got to a point where I was just like, I was so excited to try other shit, like try my body and test it. Not even just my body, just test my mind in different ways. Like, you know, there's a physical test to bodybuilding and there's a mental test to bodybuilding. But I know that, you know, even with Jansen and Dom, like Matt and Dom running triathlons and stuff, it's a very different mental test than bodybuilding is. Mm-hmm. You know, pushing yourself in endurance sports is very different. And I even know I was talking to Nathan French, his name, last night, the Airbnb, you know, who has done some bodybuilding shows and done some, you know, marathons and triathlons and stuff like that. And he was saying like for him, like doing the prep and like doing the diet and like the rigidity of it and like what it took away from his life was so much harder for him. But like on the flip side, you put me in and try and get me to run 10K, y'all be like, yo, that was way harder than any bodybuilding prep I did, you know? So it's like it's a completely different mental and physical test. And I think when you've developed such like a streamlined set of skills and know exactly what to expect for so long, these new tests are like so different, challenging, and exciting, you know? I
feel like the mental huge difficulty bodybuilding though is how encompassing it is of everything.
Yeah, well, that's the conversation
we're
like,
having. Right now you're getting into like fucking a different type of training and it's hard the training, but then you go home and you eat what you want and you're relaxed and you're chilling. Yeah. Bodybuilding is every second of how much rest you are getting, how much protein you're getting, and like everything is just obsessive thinking.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Completely different.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's a completely different thing. It's like completely all encompassing, you know, and I think it's a very unique pursuit in that way because, you know, even if you're looking at guys that play in the NFL or run elite level track or, you know, whatever it is, you know, they can go and because when it's not based off the look, it's just based off of performance, you can fuel yourself a lot differently and not worried if like you're going to get a little water or get a little fat or like, you know what I mean? Because you're just going to go and you're going to perform good and you're going to burn it off and whatever, you know, but when everything that you put into yourself, every bit you sleep, every supplement you take, all these things can have a direct look, you know, feedback right into your look. It's a lot different, you know, like, you know, you could go play your football game or football practice on a Saturday, go out and get shit-faced with the boys, you know, literally come back to practice on Monday and be completely fine. You know, wake up that morning, hydrate, and you're like, I'm good to go, man. You know,
when I was in Ottawa, we were at the Lansdowne and the CFL, our professional football team. Yeah. They all came over to local after. They were having pizza and beer post game, like just
imagine
crazy.
If we just did that game in a few weeks. Imagine if we did that like just after a workout, like that's our practice. You know, it's like let's go have pizza and beers. Everyone would look like shit. Literally, you know, like because it's the look that matters more than, or not more than, but in a, you know, an equal and different sense than the performance. You know,
directly correlated.
Direct correlation. You know, so where for them it's just performance and it's a lot more obviously skill based. Where in bodybuilding we don't really have a skill aspect to it per se. So yeah, it's so different, you know, but you know, I'm very excited. I'm spitting stuff here. I'm very excited to just like test my body and my mind in like different ways, you know, and already like, you know, kind of dipping my foot into new things like it's very humbling and it's a very different challenge, you know, like, look, they're squatting 800 pounds, but for me to try and jog 1 kilometer, like, you know, 3/4 of a mile is like, yeah. that's worse than squatting 800 pounds for me at this point, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like a completely different challenge. So it's, you know, it's refreshing, you know? And I think, and I was kind of talking about this before, you know, it's refreshing to still be able to do things like this when my body is capable, you know, like, you know, and I've talked about this a lot in my video and stuff like that. I think it was one of the big reasons, you know, and people will be like, why'd you hang it up when you're only 32, you're in your prime of blah, blah, blah. I'm like, exactly.
My prime of life.
My prime of life, not just bodybuilding. This is prime of everything.
Yeah.
This is like when I'm physically, mentally, like I'm at my best right now. And like, I don't want to be that. Look, I've done a lot in bodybuilding. I'm happy with what I've done, but I also want to try other things when I'm still mentally and physically like at my sharpest and best to do these things. You know, I've been there. I did bodybuilding. I'm very content and happy with what I did. You know, and just really want to try myself out in different, and look, I'm not trying to be the equivalent in prowess that I was in bodybuilding. Do I think I'm going to try something else and be top 5, top 10 in the world? Yeah. Obviously not.
But that's 7th in the world sprinter.
You're running like 9 6s, you know, imagine that. But, no, you know, obviously that's not even remotely even the draw to it for me at all, is to try and be one of the world's best. It's just to try my body and my mind in a different way, and, you know, kind of test it out in a different way and see what it's capable of, you know, and see what it's capable of at a time when it's still actually able to improve and, you know, pursue new things like this, where it's like, you know, I could still be competitive in bodybuilding, you know, for another 5, 6, 8 years, whatever, pushed on 40, still win some shows, you know, maybe my placings at Olympia slip a little bit, but I'm still doing okay. But like, what's life going to look like on the other side of that? You know, if I want to run, am I going to be able to do that? If I want to do, you know, like Matt and Dom want to go run triathlons, like how are my knees going to be like from 25 years of bodybuilding, you know? It's
go snowboarding with me in the Swiss Alps.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, am my ankles and knees are gonna be so messed up at that point, you know? You know, so it was like, obviously that wasn't the predominant reason, you know, but it was one of the things where I'm like, man, I'm so excited, getting so excited to try other things and try it while I can still really like dive into it, you know? So, you know, it's exciting to try these things and really be able to like actually feel like my body can still perform, you know?
Yeah. I want to dive in asking you what's coming next, but I want to first, and I know you've gone over this, but sure, like I said, kind of go into rolling back a little bit, even just to the start of your prep. Like, and we talked a bit about your retirement when you were like making the decision, but I didn't know if like, was that a lingering assumption on the back of your mind? Because like I've gone through periods of prep where I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I can do this again. Yeah. And it's like lying under there, and then I'm like, oh no, that was just a moment of fucking whatever stress. Yeah. Did you feel that at the beginning of this prep? Was it like you knew it was coming and you were fighting it, or did it just hit you one day? Like,
I honestly felt this a lot longer than before this prep. Yeah. You know, if I'm being completely honest, and when I spoke in my video, I was probably feeling this like even before Vancouver last year. You know, and it wasn't like that. It was like the preps were getting harder and I just like didn't, you know, it was like, this is getting too hard. It was just, I don't know how to describe it. And other than like a lack of fulfillment feeling it and a lack of drive to do it because I wasn't feeling fulfilled in it, you know? And it was like, and I tried to think about this to myself. I'm like, man, like, let's say I went to the Olympia and placed higher than I've ever placed. I go and I come 4th place. Wow, somehow, you know, pipe dream, you know, accomplish that. Would I feel any different? And the honest answer is no, you know, because it was at this point where, you know, the fulfillment was diminished. And then from that, on the flip side, what we were just talking about, then what it was starting to do is create this antsiness and like want and anticipation and excitement to do other things. Yeah. You know, I started thinking in my head, I'm like, man, it'd be fucking awesome to run again. Like, I remember when I was running, like how awesome that felt. Like, you know, maybe I'd like to do that again. Like, maybe I'd still like to do that when I can still actually do it, you know, or maybe I'd like to, you know, go live somewhere for a while and do something completely different, not worry about eating 6 meals a day. Or, you know, maybe I want to run fucking marathons. Like, maybe I want to be an MMA fighter, you know, like whatever it is. Like, I started to get so excited to do other things that it was like making me not excited about bodybuilding in the same way. And because I just wasn't feeling like, even when I won Vancouver or I won Toronto, you know, you've been around shows, like the feeling was different.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I remember how I felt winning shows in the past. And like, it really felt like a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment, where it was starting to get to the point where I kind of felt like I've been there and I've done that, you know, and I'm like proud of what I've accomplished, but accomplishing more isn't giving me more fulfillment, you know? And what was the feeling I was really like overarching is that was what I was craving for, was a feeling of like purpose and fulfillment in life, and bodybuilding wasn't giving me that, you know? And I was like, really had to do some like soul searching of like, what's going to make me feel fulfilled and purposeful. And it was not bodybuilding, and it was doing other things, you know, and right now it's going to be running, and whether it's in time, it's doing something else, you know, but I feel like I was really at a point where I was feeling like very lost and very unfulfilled and very pessimistic about the future, to be honest. You know, I had lost a lot of optimism of like where my life was going and what my purpose was, you know, and that wasn't because I thought I was regressing in bodybuilding anyway. Like I literally had just won Toronto Pro, you know, or the year before I just won Vancouver Pro. And even on one of my worst Olympia showings, I'm still like just right outside the top 10, you know, in one of the best Olympias we've had in a decade. So it's like, it wasn't in my head in that aspect. It was just, you know, I just wanted to feel the excitement and the feeling of purpose and fulfillment that I felt early in my career in bodybuilding. And I knew that bodybuilding wasn't going to give that to me at this point, you know? So then I really just thought to myself, like, what's going to give that to me? I know it's not bodybuilding. So, okay, separate from picking what I'm going to do outside of it to like fill the void, bodybuilding's not it, you know? Let's think about moving that to the side. And then once we've done that, let's think of things that can give you a newfound purpose and meaning to your life, you know?
Yeah. You said something too earlier when you were talking about like, when you said you're chasing after like a goal, but you're not thinking you're going to be as good as you were in bodybuilding. There's something about when you start to become successful in something and that success is expected of you. Now you're doing it for the expectation of that success. Like, okay, well, I have to be at least 7th in the world or better or improving. Rather than just doing something to be like a better version of yourself and to enjoy it. And there's something so mature about, because that's expectations of others. And that's what makes you feel miserable, because it's never fulfilling that. There's something so like mature about dropping the giving a fuck of like those external rewards and like chasing something that you're just excited to work towards and that fulfillment, like you said.
I mean, I'm sure, like, you know, obviously you can probably speak to that one firsthand better than anybody. I mean, like you have more pressure and expectation than literally anybody. You're winning Olympias, you know, you're the epitome of success in this industry. So, you know, I'm sure you can obviously speak to that very personally, but yeah, I mean, for me, definitely, you know, it was at the point where I felt like I was just doing it because I felt like I was supposed to, not because I wanted to or because it was what I truly like loved and felt fulfilled in anymore. You know, and like you said, like there's a very draining thing of feeling when you're not doing something like that's true to yourself like that, you know, when you're kind of chasing, you know, the next goal, but like not necessarily your next goal. Like, it's like, okay, like, yeah, I came 7th, I got to do better. And it's really sucking the joy dry of it. But it's like, it wasn't the placings or the lack of placings that was making me unfulfilled. It was something obviously more deep rooted in that, you know? So when I think you really break it down like that, it's, I mean, it gets to a point where it definitely changed the dynamic, you know? And like, I've talked about this before, like when I got into bodybuilding, I just got into bodybuilding because I just love training. You know, I didn't get into it because I'm like, I want to get on stage in my mankini and fucking, you know, be the best bodybuilder in the world. I'm like, I just love to be strong and lift heavy weights and see how I can, like I just spoke with, you know, doing other things, test my body, test my mind, and how far I can push this, you know, and what I can get out of it if I really put 120% into something. Like if I do everything right, if I eat properly, if I train properly, if I do it all 100%, what is possible? And I've seen that now, you know, I've seen what I can do. I've seen what I can accomplish in bodybuilding. I've done a lot in bodybuilding. I've won a lot of shows. I've been in the Olympia high placings. I've been second at the Arnold. Like I kind of been there, done that in my mind. You know, and then it's like, all right, cool. I feel good. I feel content. I feel proud of what I've done. And that was also a really big thing for me, you know, in making that decision, is I wanted to ensure that I could still walk out of bodybuilding on the other side with like a positive outlook and positive like way looking back at it.
Not resented.
We're not resented. That's it. You know? So, you know, I'm like, okay, if I do this for another X amount of years, and I know how I feel now. So I know it's not like I'm going to feel better in time. Like this is a feeling that's progressing of like, of pining for change and pining for more, more in life outside of bodybuilding. And if I push this for X amount more years, I'm like, am I going to look back at bodybuilding with disdain now? Like it's something that I did my entire adult life. Am I now going to look back and be like, oh, it fucked me up. I did this. I wish I'd hung it up early. Like, I don't ever want to be that bitter guy looking back at it. I don't want to, I'm so happy with what I accomplished. I'm so happy with everything that it's given me. So I'm like, it would be such a shame to ruin that image, like if I got out on the other side and like, we've all seen those bitter bodybuilders that get on the other end and like they have nothing positive to say about bodybuilding. I have nothing negative to say about bodybuilding. Obviously I know there's tough parts of bodybuilding. There's risky parts of bodybuilding. There's all these things, but we all know those. And everyone doing it knows the associated risks. And that's not something I look at as a negative, but it's because I was able to walk out on the other side before having anything bad happen. Mm-hmm. I'm able to walk out with a clean bill of health, physically,
by
internally, by my choice, So I think there's a lot of like power and feeling like of, kind of like really like seizing it, like by making that decision. So yeah.
When was the last time you stepped off stage and were like, fuck yeah, like that felt good. I'm going to do better and can't wait to do this again? You said you kind of lost it since like Vancouver Pro even-ish.
Probably the 2020 or 2021 Olympia. Yeah. It's tough to say, maybe even no, probably 2020 Olympia was the last show I remember like feeling like super excited, and not even just excited because of a placing. I'm talking even before the show happened.
Yeah.
Excited to be there.
Yeah.
Like excited to like, man, I'm so excited to get on the Olympia stage. I'm so excited to be part of this. I'm so excited to do all this. Like there was still like, it was still fulfilling me. It was still making me feel fulfilled in my day and in my like journey and in my purpose in life of like, I'm doing this because I love it and I want to be here and I'm excited for every step of the road. Look, there's hard days and there's bad days, but I was still very excited and optimistic about being a bodybuilder, where it got to a point where I was like, I don't know if I quite feel the same about this anymore, and it's like I said, even if I was placing higher and higher and higher every year, that's not really what this is about, it's about feeling like I've done what I wanted to do in bodybuilding, more than what I wanted to do in bodybuilding. And then just really not wanting to be chained to something in the way that bodybuilding chains you, and just like experience other shit, I've done this for 15 years of like all day, every day. Like we talked about before, it's so all consuming. And then when you kind of pair that together, it's like, I got this overarching feeling of like such desire to do other things, like just, I was like pining to like, and I was also
just not other things, just to live life.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like whether it's travel when I want, hang out with my family when I want, go hunting with my dad when I want, like whatever it is, like all the other things that bodybuilding had held me back from, I just got this like overarching feeling. And, I won't lie. Like there became a point, as you get older, mortality becomes so much more present to you, like when you're 20 versus 25 versus 28 versus 30 versus 32, like every kind of year, at least for me, it really, really changed like the dynamic for me, like how I felt in terms of like the inherent risk I was potentially putting myself in. It really honestly started to give me a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and honestly a lot of depression. And that's still with someone with a clean bill of health, but it was like, and, kind of pairing that in with the thing of like looking back with it without kind of disdain and resentment. I was like, I never want to get the point where I'm pushed out of bodybuilding. So it changes that. And obviously the health part of that was a big part of that, so, I got to a point where I was just, no matter how much blood work I got, or I could get 0 calcium scores, I could get, good EKGs and echoes and heart scans, and, see that I don't even have any LVH. It's like, everything is great, but it's like still the like, what if?
Until it's not.
It's not, and then once it's not, it's already potentially too late, and I got to a point, like I'm already kind of like an anxious person like that. And I got to a point where these thoughts consumed my days. It was taking away from my sleep. It was taking away from, honestly, like I was, using this word before, like my general optimism of life. And I was using that word intentionally because that is really what I'm referring to. I had lost a sense of optimism because I was so scared of not even that I was going to die at 45, but like, even if I live to 90, what is that going to look like? Is that going to be that my quality of life from 55 to 90 fucking sucks? Or is that going to be that now if I make that decision for myself, that those 60 years can be exactly what I want them to be? Like I'm still the master of my own destiny with that. Like I can control and I can make positive moves to ensure, like obviously certain things are out of your control. Shit happens. People get fucking cancer, whatever, those things aside, I can still make sure that I'm making all the positive moves in my life to eliminate these things that are causing me so much anxiety and stress and loss of feelings of optimism, So it got to a point where when you kind of like had this perfect storm of like, okay, bodybuilding is not making me feel quite as fulfilled anymore. Okay, I'm getting really excited to try other things and just to fucking live life. And then also now you have this really overarching fear of potential, harm that I could be doing to myself, which, like as I said, as I got older, got like ever more present every year. Especially once I got to the point where, like, if me and Melissa are talking about having kids and shit, I'm like, what is this like? What is my future going to look like in this? So it started to create a lot of fear in me like that. So when I kind of paired these all together, and as they all kind of popped up at different times. So it's like, maybe the fear of the health starts to pop up a few years ago, and then the other one starts to become of the fulfillment at a little time, and then once now you get into where I was this year of like all of these have kind of reached a head, and then I'm like, all right, I'm good, like this. Yeah, like it just got to a point where I really couldn't like rationalize it in my mind anymore, And look, I'm not sitting here trying to tell anyone that bodybuilding's bad or you shouldn't bodybuild. I fucking love bodybuilding, man. I'm always going to love bodybuilding. I'm always going to stay involved in the bodybuilding world. I'm always going to support bodybuilders. Like, this is not me shitting on bodybuilding. It's actually quite the opposite. Bodybuilding is amazing. I think there's a lot of great opportunities there. I think it's one of the best true tests of willpower and physicality that there is, So I'm not saying anything from that end. I'm just saying, I think, sometimes you need to make tough decisions for you and what you think is best for your life,
Yeah. I don't think it sounds at all like you're saying anything about bodybuilding.
No, but I just want to, in case anyone's saying like, blah, blah, blah. I just want to clarify, like, look, yeah. I love every single minute of my career. And like I said, I want to make sure I came out on the other side still with that same outlook,
Yeah, but that's the important thing. You're sharing your like genuine perspective. And there's a lot of people who like have these feelings, but still have such a, like, their identity is so attached to like the popularity, the like, whatever, like, the feeling like this is who I am a bodybuilder, all this shit that they can't walk away, and then they get to the point where, like you said, something happens with your health. Yeah, bodybuilding caused that health issue. You fucking hate bodybuilding now. That's just life. Health is everything.
Yeah, man. And I never want anyone. I think there's like a good lesson in this, especially when you're talking about like the identity and things like that, like. Look, I get it. I mean, this was obviously a thing, especially as I was younger, was one of those things when I thought about life after bodybuilding was like really scary to me. It's like, being the biggest guy anywhere, people look at you differently. People treat you differently. You think that your success and your, monetary value from a social media standpoint might be associated with it, and in many cases that may be the case, but if it's become the case for you, you kind of did something wrong along the lines, you know? I think as a bodybuilder, if you don't have more to offer than just your physique, that kind of sucks, and that's going to suck after bodybuilding just as much as it's going to suck during bodybuilding or before bodybuilding, like I know, and I've already experienced this after bodybuilding, that people like me and people follow me for a whole lot more than just because of my physique, like people follow me because of how I speak or the opinions I give, unfiltered opinions, or my sense of humor, or following my life and kind of my dynamic with you and Melissa and everybody like that. Like there's so many other things that I think, and look, I was scared too. Like change is scary, man, and like You know, when you obviously have these thoughts in your mind of like, is anybody going to care about me anymore? You know, but I think if you put yourself out there to be more than just a bodybuilder, absolutely they will be. You know, I think people care. This is kind of like an analogy that I've like created in my mind around this. Is like, especially in bodybuilding, I think people come for like crazy lifts and crazy physiques, but they stay for more than that. You know, like they stay, and that's like everlasting, like, you know, true supporters and true fans. And this extends to family, friends, anything. You know, they might come for one reason, and, you know, same with people who follow you on social media, but they don't stay for that. Yeah. You know, I think people stay for personalities. They stay for people they can relate to, you know, things that they can connect to on a deeper level than just like, this guy's huge, I like to follow him, you know?
I mean, even relationships, like you see a hot girl, you come because she's hot, but you're not going to marry her.
You're not going to stay. You're not going to stay.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Or even if you do, you ain't going to stay forever because she's hot.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is it's a good lesson in that. Like, you know, I think, you know, and a good lesson for people that are maybe really starting off into this world and trying to make this like a career for themselves is, don't make yourself just that one thing, you know, like, if you are more than that, I hope you are, you know, I hope there's more to you than just your physique. And I bet you think there is too. If if you were going to refer to yourself or whoever that is, you know, that there's more to you than just a good physique or an impressive lift, and show people that, and show people things that they can connect to. And I think that's going to make you a lot more relatable. I think it's going to make you a lot more appealing to a lot more people. You know, and I mean, like, you're a case in point for this. I mean, you know, your fame is unprecedented, but it's not just because of your physique. I honestly think your physique could be, you know, you could be coming fourth at the Olympia, but I think there's a different level of relatableness and connection that you give to people that they've been pining for in a world that's like so filled with bullshit, you know, and so much like unrelatability, and so much like, you know, people are just posting up like the best of their life at all times, you know, completely, you know, girls that are just bikini pictures that are photo tuned to the tits, every friggin' picture. And like, yeah, there is a market for that, but it's also not, that doesn't create like true following, you know, like true real people that like really like you and really follow you and really are invested in your career and you as a person, you know. You know, I think there's so much more to that than just like good physiques, you know. So I really think, like, you know, for me, and I've already experienced it, and I think for you or people like this, like, you know, people stay and they really relate because there's something they can connect to on a real, more personal level than that, you know. Like when you're showing, like, sitting there 6 weeks out from the biggest show of your life, or, you know, whatever it is, or even when you've won the biggest show of your life, and saying like, it ain't just all fucking glam and glory. You know what I mean? Like, there's tough shit that comes with this too. I still am a normal person. I still have, you know, shit that goes on with my family, with my girlfriend, with my, you know, whatever, with competing. Like, shit still happens, man. Like, you know, these are moments that are tough for me, just like they would be for anybody else. Like, I'm human like everybody else. And I think when people can see someone that's accomplishing something that looks like everything they ever dreamed of and more, but they can see like it on a more human level, I think there's a lot more level of connection to that, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also not creating the false like identity in yourself and thinking like,
for sure,
if I'm putting this fake image out there and everybody loves it, well, then I better actually be this fake image.
Well, yeah, and then how hard is it now, and what kind of level of anxiety does that create on the back end when you are choosing to step out of competing? Do I gotta uphold this facade forever?
Literally,
you know, like, how am I gonna do this forever? Like, this isn't, you know. And like, when you take the physique point out of it, then it becomes even more stressful, because you're like, man, like, I could keep up this facade, but like, I ain't got a fancy physique to show everybody all the time anymore, you know? So it just creates such a level of stress and anxiety when it's like, you're not being authentic to yourself, let alone to others, you know? So I think that's one thing that I'm very proud of that I did in my career, and that I absolutely stayed true to myself with, is just like being unequivocally myself in every facet like that, you know, whether it's giving out opinions I'm going to get shit for online, you know, or whether it's, you know, showing real parts of my life and talking about, you know, even with my sense of humor, like, even if it's, you know, on the podcast with Fouad and the guys, like saying shit that some people probably are going to find like really fucked up. Like, that's just who I am. Like, I'm just going to say it. I don't really care, you know?
Say that shit to my mom.
Yeah, I say it to his mom, literally, you know, like anything like that I just think is me and is like me to my core. I'm just trying to be that to everyone, you know? And like, look, obviously there's moments where you got to be like a little more appropriate or less appropriate or whatever, you know? but I think there's something like so overly freeing with knowing that you've just showed up as exactly who you are to everybody. So it's not like if everybody you know all of a sudden got into one room together, can you act the same to all of them?
Yeah.
Or it's like, do you
Who
have
are
to
you
turn?
gonna
Do
be?
you have to turn to the parents and be like, "Hey, everybody," and then turn to your boys, "What's up, guys?" It's like I could just be the same to everybody because that's just who I am, and I act the same to my buddies from high school as I do to you, as I do to Melissa, as I do to my parents, to your parents, to fucking Tyler Mannion, whatever it is. Like, that's just Ian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's something that's made me feel like a lot of peace coming out the other side of bodybuilding. Is that connection I've built with people just like on who I am, you know? Yeah.
For sure. Probably why people do love you the most. When you were saying the reasons outside of your physique, like
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest
for
things.
sure. You know, and like
Everyone
honestly,
wants to be that. And
it was a very like relieving thing to feel. You know, you're obviously very nervous when you announce a retirement, but then when you see, honestly, man, out of like tens of thousands of comments and DMs and everything, I couldn't even count on one hand the negative ones. You know, like I'm literally talking like less than 5. You know, out of like tens of thousands. You know, like it was really, it was all an outpour of support, and it was like the consistent message was like, I'm so like I followed you as a bodybuilder. Like I loved your bodybuilding career, and I was like, you know, loved following you, but I'm so excited to see what you're going to do on the other side of this, you know? And that's because people weren't just following me for being a bodybuilder. They were following me for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so it's, you know, I think that's something that's like so relieving to hear is like that people just are excited to see what you as a person are going to do next in life, you know? And, you know, obviously there was some people like, man, I'm bummed not going to get to see you compete anymore, but like, I'm so happy that you made this decision for you, and I'm so excited to see what you do next. I'm going to follow the journey of what you're doing next, you know? There was really like no negativity associated with it like whatsoever, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool to see that like an entire like industry was like, you gave your all, you did everything you could, and now you're ready and you're done and you're making the right choice.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yep, see you later.
Yeah, no, and I think, you know, I think it was kind of a unique situation like that because there's not really been many bodybuilders that have like hung it up like right in their what would seem like their prime years, you know, like just getting into where they're
Without
really,
health issues.
yeah, like where they're consistently winning shows and placing, you know, at the Olympia and stuff. You know, so I think it's a unique situation, but it's also I think a cool and exciting situation for a lot of people to see in many ways. It's like I said before, it's like, you know, people are interested to see like, you know, someone that's still a, you know, healthy young bodybuilder and athlete, like what are they going to do next with this?
Like,
You know, like,
I could bodybuild professionally on the top of the world for 15 years and then go live a full life. Like
yeah.
that's,
and I
that's
also
more
think
than
there's a much higher, in a lot of ways, sense of relatability for a lot of people on this, because let's be serious. How many guys do we know that are like, they're still trying to play like soccer with their buddies, or they like to run, but they also want to have muscle and they want to build muscle, and like, oh, they go to school. So like, they're not eating 6 meals a day. They can only eat 4, but like, you know, they don't want to like weigh their food all the time. They just want to like eat intuitively. Like there's a very high sense of relatability in what I'm doing too, you know, like I've honestly talked to thousands of people since I retired. They're like, hey man, like I'm really excited to see you doing this because like, you know, I still love to run or play soccer or bike, but like I'm, you know, trying to still have some muscle and still bodybuild a bit. And like you know, what do you think I should do here? And like, you know, I'm kind of in that zone right now where I can kind of connect to like a bunch of different audiences in that way, you know? So it's kind of getting like this, like all these people that, you know, connected with me just on the bodybuilding side before in terms of training or nutrition that are now like, oh, okay, maybe we can connect on a few different things here now that Ian's out of that world, not eating 6 meals a day, and trying some new training, but also still has the experience of a 15-year pro bodybuilder, you know? So it's definitely a cool thing to see, kind of the, you know, the different like people I've talked to, and the outpour support has been definitely really cool. Yeah.
So what are the next things? Obviously you've mentioned track a few times, but like what's your goal with track? Like are you just trying to like feel good running, or are you trying to hit like a 10-second 100 meters?
Well, 10 seconds obviously a little out of the question. I think, you know, I'm not 25 in terms of like having that time, you know, but I think the goal I set for myself when I like made the decision was by 35, so it gives me like 2.5 years, I want to run an 11-second flat, which I think is 11 flat. I think is going to be very difficult, but I think what's the point of goals if they're not hard? You
Yeah.
know, like I don't want it to just be like, I'll run 12 seconds and accomplish that next weekend. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You know, but that's the long-term goal. So that's a 3-year goal, 2-3-year goal. And then obviously I'll set smaller goals within that. So that's like the overarching goal that I think is going to be hard to achieve for sure. You know, running in your 30s, 11 flats is not like happening like easy or like every day by people by any means. But I'm also very confident in coming out of a bodybuilding career, knowing myself and what I'm willing to, you know, like my knowledge of training, my knowledge of nutrition, you know, my ability to push myself, you know, my ability to test myself mentally. Like I know what I can handle now. And I know that I can push myself in any aspect in life, and I can absolutely do it. Will my body be able to do it? Guess we'll find out, you know?
Yeah.
But I know from a mental standpoint, from, you know, really like putting myself in the nitty-gritty situations and knowing how I'll react to them, and from a physical standpoint of like when shit's getting tough that I ain't gonna quit, you know? I know that I can absolutely do the work necessary. So yeah, it's going to be a very exciting process. I'm glad that I didn't like set a shorter time frame, because now that I'm getting into it, I'm like, I'm going to need 2 years. I'm going to need 2 years on this one. You
What
know?
do you think your weight's going to get down to in that attempt by 35?
I don't know. You know, I think realistically to run those kind of times, I'll definitely have to be under 230. You know, I think running a sub 11 or 11 flat at 230 would be pretty crazy in like the world of, you know, like that's like you're talking about like elite like NFL running back, and even on the bigger end of those guys running 11 flats pretty crazy, you know. So the guys that are running those kind of times, unless they're really really tall, or you're talking like in the 165 to 195 range, you know, for Olympic level times, sorry, that are world level times. I definitely think that, you know, being in the 220 230 range, I could probably run that. You know,
it's so strange if I weigh more than you.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to happen sooner than later. That's for sure. You know, and I'm trying to think of it from myself. Like in 2015 or whatever the year we ran a meet, and then I ran another one with Spencer. We ran a 60, and then I ran.
I think it was 14.
14. Did I run both of them in the same year? Or did I run the 61 year in the?
I think it was 2 different years.
Okay.
I like tore my hamstring the first year.
Yeah, so I think in 2015 I ran the 100 with Spencer, weighing, and I was like full off season, so I think I was like 270, and I ran like in the mid 12s. So that's with no training for 8 years. You know, obviously I was a few years younger than I am now, but that's just experience, you know. Trying to look at it that way. My body doesn't feel that much worse than I felt then. You know, so I think from a physical standpoint, what I could handle then, I can handle now. You know, I'm not 55 years old. So I think to shave off a second and a half with now losing the weight, actually training for it, I don't think is out of the realm of possibility by any means, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it'll be tough, but I'm up for the challenge, and it's fun to have, you know, goals that are so encompassing to me, you know? Like, it's not like I'm trying to win certain competition. Like we were talking about before, It's like, I got to place 7th. I got to place better. It's like, this is a goal that is like for nobody but me.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to see what I can do. And I'm giving myself, look, if this takes 10 years, great. If it takes 1 year, great. If it takes never, great, you know? But I'm definitely going to try. I'm going to put 100% into it, and get it as far as I damn can with it, you know? So yeah, it's exciting to have a goal that is like completely for you and not against or not for or not with anybody else's expectations or anything. Like, I'm sure the world's expectations are pretty damn low and we'd run fast, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, all right, this is good. The expectations are low. I'm going to exceed them, you know? So I'm looking to that, and I'm excited for that for sure.
If you had a top 5 bucket list now of things you were excited to do outside of eating whatever you want, traveling and track, what would you say is up there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously the track stuff, you know, that was something I was, you know, very eager to hop into. And I'll give a little explanation to that too, you know, before I answer your question. I think the reason why I chose this one specifically, and I'll, you know, even, you know, you were like, it's crazy you jumped into this so fast. It's a twofold answer to that. You know, why I jumped into it so fast was, one, I wanted something that was going to actually motivate me to make the best positive steps for my health and longevity, but that was keeping me motivated towards it.
Yeah.
You know, so when I sat there and I thought, I'm like, all right, I know I love track. I've followed, you know, this too. I followed the competitive and professional, college, you know, amateur, even track scenes as closely, if not closer than I follow bodybuilding over the last 15 years. You know,
you're always watching.
If you look at my YouTube, it's literally just like
Track.
different seasons. It's collegiate season, indoor season, you know, whatever it is, European meets, you know, anything like that I'll be following. So I know it's something I'm still very passionate about and love. And I remember the training for that, like very, very fondly, of really enjoying it and feeling very like a high level of fulfillment, which is like a buzzword here for like, you know, things I'm trying to get in my life, you know. And then it was a goal. It's like, okay, something that'll make me feel excited and fulfilled from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint, but then also that coincides and pairs well with wanting to live fucking forever, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what can I do to motivate myself and not just sit there and watch myself lose muscle that I worked so hard for 15 years with no real purpose. It's like, if I'm just going to watch myself wither away, but like it's not for a purpose of trying to accomplish something else, it can be kind of fucking depressing, you know? Like, and a lot of bodybuilders know that for sure, you know? But it's like, now honestly, I find myself the complete opposite. When I'm like seeing myself getting a little smaller in the mirror, I get happy. You know, versus when you're still competing, it's like you see yourself a little smaller one day, like ruins your fucking day. You know, holy shit!
It's like I'm gonna be better at track because of
if
this.
I get smaller, I will be faster. My joints and everything are gonna feel better. So like now that I see it happening, I'm like, fuck yes. And if I see a day where I look a little bigger, I'm like, fuck. You know, it's completely the opposite now. It's like crazy. You know, or if I step on the scale one day, which I was just talking, don't chase the scale, but I've still been looking at the numbers. If I see where I'm starting to gain a little weight or it's not coming down in a good progressive fashion, I'm like, fuck, you know, like damn. Whereas the other way, it's like I was getting lighter and I wasn't wanting to. I was like depressed as shit, you know? So it's crazy. Like, but that's why I thought setting a goal that coincided like that was so important for me. You know, I know how I operate mentally. I'm at an age and done enough work on myself that I kind of know what like I need and what makes me tick and what causes anxiety and depression and things like this in me, you know. And one of the big things for me is feeling like lack of control, you know, lack of control of like my life. So, you know, now that I feel like I've got control of these aspects, I know what I'm doing, I'm feeling driven and purposeful in this. You know, it took honestly a lot of anxiety about like losing muscle off me and honestly an excitement to lose muscle. Cause I'm like, I just want to fucking run fast, you know, I want to be so fast. So I got to be 215, you know, or 200 pounds, whatever it is. I don't care the number. I just want to feel good and perform good. You know, and I want to have the cleanest bill of health I could possibly have in terms of physical and organ health and mental health. And I know for me, that's what's going to give me the highest level of like optimism and fulfillment. So, but yeah, to answer your question, top 5 things that I want to do. I want to give myself, I want to, I don't know how to phrase this. I want to ensure that I give myself adequate time and really dive into running and just to test myself and see what I can do and not like fall short because it gets tough. And I know I won't, but I just want to like really dive into something new and exciting for me and give it a full-fledged effort, and really see how fast I can go or how far I can take it. And I'm not trying to be competitive. Like maybe I'll do recreational meets and whatever around master stuff as I get older. But just to like give myself like a real good fucking go at something different, you know? I definitely want to travel more, you know? I mean, me and Melissa have already been talking about going this Canadian winter, so their summer, spending some time in Australia and New Zealand, which like for me before I absolutely never would have sat on a 15-hour flight and tried to eat those meals, like sit on that, you know, like there's no, or a 20-hour flight, you know, there's no chance I was doing that when I was competing, you know, go to places like that. I want to go to Asia, you know, go to the, you know, Philippines and Thailand and Japan and like all these kind of places out there. Like that's something I really want to do. You know, just see something that's like culturally so different than us and like just a complete other side of the world that's very different. Like I've been to Europe and, you know, been to the UK and been to, you know, places in South America or in the Caribbean or whatever it is. And yeah, you see some cool shit and it's different, but like, I just want to see like, I want to see different parts of the world and like shit that's just like completely different to us. So I'm like, holy crap, this is so different, you know? So that's something that really excites me. And I think there's a lot of places like that I really want to see. What else from that? Bucket list things. I mean, I certainly want to have kids. I want to be a dad, you know. I think that's something that as I've got to this age, and especially now on the other side of bodybuilding, I mean, you've known me, like I wanted kids like wait for
Like
10 years now,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So like I was waiting for Melissa to catch up onto the bandwagon, not the other way around, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's something that I've always wanted to be, and is now like getting to the point where it's, you know, getting to be realistic discussions now. So, you know, obviously it's something that I'm very excited for, you know, if we're lucky enough and blessed enough to kind of have that kind of shit happen. So that's 3.
Doesn't have to be like life things. Just like bodybuilding's done now, I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think of like anything really big before I get into smaller things. I mean, something that I've been really wanting to do recently is I really want to go fucking bungee jumping.
Bungee jumping.
Yeah, because it's
That's so fun.
the idea of it. Like, I'm not scared of heights or anything, but I know bungee jumping is fucking terrifying,
It
and I
is.
just like really want to do it. You know, I'm kind of in this weird thing right now where I really want to do shit that I don't want to do. You know, like eating the chip challenge thing.
Did
I'm
you
like,
do it?
I'm doing it this weekend.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so I'm gonna do it in Columbus. So like, look, I know this is gonna suck, but I'm like, just do it anyways. You know, bungee jumping is gonna scare. I'm gonna stay on the edge and be like, fuck, I shouldn't have done this, but just fucking do it anyways. You know, and it's now. I feel like a level of freedom to do these things, or like snowboarding, like we were talking about. Even when we went snowboarding last year, I was fucking terrified the whole goddamn time.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, if I fall or if I fuck something up, like, I just, you know, it's really hard to just like enjoy those moments. Cause one, I'm like, I want to snowboard for an hour. I got to go eat, you know, or how many calories am I burning on this damn snowboard? Am I going to lose 20 pounds here, you know?
And you're 300 pounds. Like,
Yeah,
that's not
exactly. You know,
comfortable.
so it's not comfortable. My feet are hurting. My fucking knees are hurting. I'm worried about getting meals in. I'm worried about getting hurt, you know? So like, I just want to do things like that I wouldn't have done before, you know, like bungee jumping. I'm like, man, what if I do this, if like my fucking throw my back out or something, or like, you know, something bad happens, like, you know, or now I'm like, I just want to put myself out of what was my comfort zone in bodybuilding. And now that that's not, bodybuilding isn't there, I want to like put myself in those situations, you know, like same with the chip. It's like, it's not even about the chip. It's about, I probably wouldn't have done this because like, oh, what if it does my stomach and then I can't eat my meals and like, you know what I mean? It's like, but now I can do it. So I'm going to fucking do it, you know?
You're like that 17-year-old kid who moves out of his parents' house.
Yeah, and
My
just
mom
as-
said I couldn't have ice cream.
So
and
I
now
mean, I'm gonna eat ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you know? So literally that's how I feel. It's like, I just want to do things that I would have been hesitant or wouldn't have done, period, during my bodybuilding career because I was afraid of negative implications it may have had on me. But like now I'm like, I just want to do all of them, you know, whether it's the traveling, whether it's the eating shit, whether it's fucking doing bungee jumping, like, you know, whether just things that are like putting me out of my comfort zone and just that are like fun and exciting for me. And that like, I'm at a point where too, like I want like, you know, even with the track stuff, I'm just like really craving and like pining for new physical and mental challenges, you know, like, cause bodybuilding is such an all encompassing challenge. Like it's every day, all day, like getting your meals in, making sure your workouts are like optimized and 120%, you know, then there's the whole actual competitive standpoint of it, of like making sure your tan's right, making sure your peak is good. Like there's so many different challenges from a physical and
It
a
also
mental
takes
standpoint.
away from every other physical thing.
Yeah.
Most athletes will be like, well, I could be a good snowboarder. I can go for a jog. I can swim. I can do this.
Yep.
Bodybuilding stops all
Nothing,
that.
nothing else, you know? So I'm just excited to like do all that other shit now, you
Yeah.
know, and just like whatever it is, I just want to challenge myself mentally and like know that I can do things other than bodybuilding, you know?
Yeah.
Like I knew I could do that real damn good and at 120% for a decade and a half. So I want to see what else I can do, you know? And like, maybe I'll eat the chip or pussy out and be like, well, I couldn't do that. But I'm putting myself to the task.
Tell
of
them
do-
like lick the chip.
I know, but I'm putting myself to these like challenges of like wanting to just really dive into testing myself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to
It's exciting,
follow
man.
on that journey.
I know it's it feels like we said before, it's like I feel like I got out of prison or like, you know, someone like an alien coming to Earth and like
I mean,
exploring.
it kind of is like starting a new life. It's just
Yeah.
it's a new chapter. Of
Yeah,
life.
it's
You know,
it's like, or
exciting.
like you said, taking someone from like the 1800s and like tossing them in now, and it's
Yeah.
like with modern
Look what
grocery
you can
stores
do.
and restaurants and just self-driving cars. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, what is all this? You know, so I just want to do it all now. Anything that I felt like I restricted myself from them from then, I'm going to make a point to do now.
To make up for it now.
Yeah, it's not even make up. I'm just going to make a damn point to do it because even if I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it because I couldn't then.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, I don't even really want to eat this chip. I don't even really want to bungee jump, but I'm going to do it because I wouldn't before,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, and I'm going to do it and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it on the back end of it, you know? Like, I'm probably going to be terrified
doing it instead of not doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to be terrified doing the bungee jumping, but on the other side, I'd be like, fuck, I'm so glad I did that. The chip's going to suck, but after I'm going to watch back the video and fucking die laughing. I'm like, you know, that sucked for a day or two, but that's funny. I'm glad I did it. These are memories that I'll have that are things that are memories I wouldn't have created during that 15-year block. So, yeah.
Are you doing the chip alone or are you doing it with someone else?
I'm trying to convince that Sam Sulek kid to do it, but I don't think he wants to do it.
Oh, is he wherever you're going?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny because I was talking to Fu and then I was like, I want to get Sam to do it with me because they wouldn't do it. Well, Melissa was initially going to do it with me, and I don't think she really understood how bad it was.
No, no idea.
And then when I started to kind of gather more intel from talking to people who had done it, I just looked at her like, babe, I really don't think you can do this. Like, I really don't want you to do this.
Give her a spoonful of sriracha.
And she exactly. That's like 200 Scoville. We're talking about like 1 million. You know what I mean? So I just told them like, look, I really don't want to be responsible for what's going to happen here.
She'll go to the hospital.
She would be crying and like fucked up and really be upset that she did it. She doesn't handle minimal spice well. Like, you put pepper on something, she's like, this is spicy. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Like, she's like the ultimate like epitome of like people making fun of like white people with spice. You know, it's like mayonnaise,
mild wings.
Mayonnaise is spicy kind of jokes. You know, like
mild
wings. You know, barbecue is hot. You know,
Yeah.
it's like she's one of those. So, but it's funny because I messaged that Sam kid on Instagram and he never opened or read it. So then I texted Fu out. I'm like, tell this motherfucker, like, he thinks he's too famous to answer my messages. He's got 1 million followers now. He can't, you know, he's too much shit going on in the inbox to see my stuff. He's like, so he texts Sam and Sam's like, no, I saw the message come in, but then I didn't want to open it so it didn't show as read because I don't want to do it. You know, he's like, try to avoid it at all costs, but I'll convince him to do it. I got 2 of them. Someone's got to eat it. I ain't eating 2 of them, so we'll see. But it's that's gonna be a rough one. But I'm terrified and excited to do it. You know?
I'll watch. I will never do that.
Oh fuck, I know. I it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm regretting committing to it, but then I'm like glad that I'm like sticking through with it, you know, because I could still back out and be like, you know what, I decided not to do with it, but this is the new Iain now, you know. It's like I'm sticking to it, you know. Fuck, what stupid shit that is, you know. But
I'll see you get in a whole lot of trouble in the next year.
Oh yeah,
this whole yes man attitude's gonna die after
that's
that
it.
shit.
I'm gonna be like fucking Jim Carrey and that yes man, just saying yes to everything.
Literally,
you know?
yeah.
But yeah,
it's
no,
kind of true though.
Yeah, because like it's just, you know, one of those things like bodybuilding just controls so many things. It's like, and like we were saying about food, like I don't even know what I like to do. You know, I don't know what else I like to do in life. Like, you know, and people ask me, it's like, what's your favorite food? Like, what's your favorite this? Like, what do you like to do outside? What are your hobbies other than bodybuilding? How many times have we done Q&As and be like, what are your hobbies other than bodybuilding? I'm like, none, motherfucker. Like,
I nap and eat.
I have none. I have literally none. Zero hobbies, you know? So now I'm going to create some hobbies, and not that saying bungee jumping and eating chips are hobbies, but you know,
or fucking making model airplanes.
Yeah, whatever it is, you know, things that I wouldn't have done because like my time or my energy was consumed with something that's so all encompassing. I just want to do it all, and I'll find out what I like, and then I'll go from there, you know? So
yeah.
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add? You covered it a whole lot.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I've been talking for a long time now.
That's the point of a podcast.
Yeah. Fuck. No, I mean, you know, it's, I'm happy to be back.
Are you going to be documenting all this shit on your YouTube and everything?
Of course, yeah. You know, I mean, I think people are excited. Like I said, people are excited to see like what I'm gonna do next.
You could be that. You know? For a while that was trending with like bodybuilder tries.
Yeah.
And then it was like a 190-pound like retired physique guy.
Yeah, they're just using the title.
That's not real, but like this is really bodybuilder tries shit.
Yeah. So I got to still jump on these things where I'm still big enough to call myself a bodybuilder. You know. Yeah. Well, I'm still like over 250 at least. I got to get in all the shit so I can say bodybuilder tries. Yeah. You know. Once I start to get a little lighter, then it's like retired bodybuilder tries. You know, ex bodybuilder tries. But at least I'm still big enough. Like if I take my clothes off, I still look like a bodybuilder. So it's at least we can throw those clickbait titles in for a while. You know?
Use them while you got them.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's it, man. I mean, it's fun to be back here. You know, I haven't been to Florida since like right before the Olympia or
last year.
I haven't been here since last year. So
you came in January.
I came in January for a very quick time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was making the joke on the the AMA thing I was doing earlier, I was like, man, I want to say I'm like excited to be in sunny Florida, but it's just been piss and rain the last 2 days.
Yeah, it's a bad time
it's
to
just
come.
shit weather. The last rainy fucking Ottawa weather was better than this when I left,
Yeah, no, it's been nothing but sun for the last like 2 weeks too.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's good to be down here and, see you and see how prep's going and be part of all this and try to do some bodybuilding workouts for a day or two and see if I survive.
At least if Brett's bailing, it's only going to be one.
Yeah, it'll just be one at least. But, and then I have a guy named Justin King coming in tomorrow.
The trainer.
Yeah, so he's like a speed, power, conditioning trainer that focuses in like sprinting and performance sports, football, volleyball, anything with like jumping, explosivity, strength, power, ankle stuff, whatever it is. So he's going to fly in tomorrow because we got talking and he wants to, there's a lot of assessment-based stuff, especially when you're working with someone like in the body that I'm working in, trying to get into something like running.
What can you handle?
What can I handle and what can we do safely? That was the biggest thing for him, was like, look, I think this is something you can do, but we got to try and do it so you don't just fucking hurt yourself.
Yeah,
and then
if
like
you just go start doing box jumps and sprints, you're going to blow your knees out.
Yeah, exactly. Or not even that, just like, even if it's not like significant catastrophic injury, if it's like constant, just like pain and inflammation everywhere where I can't really be progressing properly in the training, like how much progress are you going to make,
Yeah.
So to make sure that he's going to do all my training off the track. So, I'm working with the club in Ottawa, with the coaches there, that are helping me a lot and are very like, they're not just like making me do what like the 22-year-old kids are doing, like
Ian, go over
he
here.
knows, like he looks at me, he's like talking to the group, he's like, you're not doing this. It's like they'll be doing bounding, like the kind of jumping, like lunging, like in the air. Like he looks at me, he's like, nah, you can do something else.
Ian,
Like,
go walk up the bleachers.
Yeah, he's like, you can do this, tell me something, So, he's helped me a lot. This guy named Sean Burgess has helped me a lot. Kind of, it's crazy though, like kind of a side tangent on this, but man, certain things are just like riding a goddamn bike though,
Really?
like certain things come back like from a technical and like mechanical standpoint, especially when you did it for a long time and doing a lot of these technical drills, it's like, it comes back so fast, but then it's the flip side of that is it comes back so fast in the body that can't do it,
Yeah.
It's like my mind and like I feel the rhythm and like I know exactly what I'm doing and like I can see myself like, when we're doing like certain things that are like tempo based or mechanical based, like, where there's like a rhythm and like a kind of like a pace to them, or the mechanics of like running mechanics or jumping mechanics or whatever, like I did this. I know this is in there still somewhere,
Yeah.
And my body like wants to do it, but like I got to kind of like reel it back a little bit, until it's
Don't
like
get too ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I even could tell like 1 week, the third week we were there, at the club, I was feeling myself, So when we were doing some of these, 50 meters strides at 75%, then 50-meter jog. So then you've crossed the whole thing, and then you do that back and forth. So it's like 50-meter sprint, 50-meter jog, 50-meter sprint, 50-meter jog. And you would do 5 of those, and then do 3 sets of 5 of those.
Yeah.
So you would do like 5 jog sprints, and then rest for like 4 or 5 minutes, and then you would do it again, do 3 rounds of that. I was about to run fast that day, So 75% might have been like 84%, and my shit felt it the next day for damn sure, There was definitely a big difference, especially when you have muscles that can like generate a lot of force, but like with connective tissue that ain't quite there yet to follow behind, and that's probably one of the the things you got to watch out for the most with this is like, it's not like I'm coming from someone that was untrained, where it's like, if you get Joe Blow off the street and throw him on the track, he probably can't even generate enough force to hurt himself.
Yeah.
Like, you can do some mobility work and, ease into it. But like, this guy ain't have quads that can produce thousands of pounds of force and like throw himself, into these on tendons and ligaments and stuff that are really not prepared for those things. Where on the flip side, like I have a lot of strength and a lot of power that can create a lot of force. But it's like reeling it back a little bit and not letting it do more than everything else around it is ready for, So
I
it's
remember last year we went to LA Fitness and I dunked a basketball. I'm like I have the strength, I have the force, I can still jump, and I got up there and then I landed and I was like,
it's the landing.
Nope.
Even
I
the
couldn't,
first,
like, walk for a
even one
week.
day I did box jumps with Mark, but it's like jumping on the box is easy.
Yeah.
But then you got to get down the other fucking side of it,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm like sitting on my butt, like getting down like a kid, you know, going down the
flying up
stairs.
there and
Like a
then
kid going down the
crawling
stairs
down.
is what you feel like you got to do. Cause like jumping down the other side, I'm like, yo, this is high, man. I ain't
Yeah.
jumping down here with all my weight. But jumping up, there's not a lot of force because like the force is removed because you're jumping higher, you know? So it's not like it's like coming down onto it, it's going up onto it, you know? But then coming down the other side, I'm like, no, no thanks, you know? I'll maybe take it easy on this. So yeah, it's the impact and stuff is definitely something. And what apparently is good, and which I'm going to start doing more of, is to build up my he was talking to me, the Sean Burgess, the coach I'm working with on the track, is a good thing to build up, you know, kind of that threshold for running, but with no impact, is getting like those like elliptical trainers that you can almost like change the stride length and height, you know, that can like mimic like the like pre-core like arc trainers and stuff. You know the ones I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's an elliptical, not a.
It's an elliptical technically.
It's not a belt treadmill.
No, it's an elliptical, but it's ones that you can adjust the width and the height of the stride.
Okay, yeah.
And they're almost like more of a free motion one, so you can do a running movement on it, but with no impact.
Yeah.
And then so you basically go on those and go at like a 4-to-1 ratio of like output, like sprint to recovery. So say, and he was saying he's like giving me rough times because like you can't gauge the distance the same. So he's like, you know, if it says 10 by 200 meters, say if we're doing stuff like really kind of like push the threshold and like build that kind of like lactate threshold and stuff like that, if it says 10 by 200, he's like, go for 30 seconds hard, you know, and then at a 4-to-1. So then 80 seconds recovery and then 30 seconds or 9, whatever it is, 30 to 120. So like 2 minutes recovery. And then 30 seconds all out or 75%, 80%, whatever it is on that, doing in a running motion, and then do like your basically your cataloged sprint work that my body obviously can't get on the track and sprint 200 meters 10 times at 75%. Like there's no damn chance. But there
You
is
have a fucking elliptical in your living room.
yeah, but there is stuff I can do on the track, you know, the shorter stuff, you know, the technical stuff, you know, the stuff that's like hurdle drills and getting hip mobility, you know, stuff that's like kind of technical fast feet stuff and your A's and B's and C's and, you know, a lot of like conditioning stuff I can still absolutely do for sure. So get out and do all that. We've been doing a lot of core work, you know, and like it's different because like I thought my abs were like good for like, you know, but it's like good at like doing rope crunches and leg raises. But then when you're doing like, all right, 20 seconds of V-sits and then 20 seconds of toe touches and then 20 seconds of heel kicks and then 20 seconds of this and like just through these circuits, oh my God, man, fucking destroys me, you know?
I can do like 10 reps of abs.
It's hard, man. It's really hard, you know? So we've been doing a lot of that and a lot of like hip strength and hip mobility stuff, which is improving very, very quickly. Like even doing hurdle drills, like when you're stepping through hurdles and stuff, like the first week getting my leg over the hurdle, like even trying to force it over was hard, where now it like honestly feels 100 times easier already. Like those kind of things came back very, very quickly. So yeah, so I'll do that and then I'll build on the other days with the elliptical, you know, to get in that kind of build my, you know, kind of threshold for running without killing myself with impact, and then do what impact my body can withstand on the track. And then as my, you know, capacity for that builds, then I'll start to, you know, get more of those ones that I'm doing on the elliptical, a few of those on the track, and then build on that and build on that.
Must be hilarious seeing you with this group of track kids. And then
yeah, the group we're in, it's like a combination of, the majority of them are grad students. So like kids that are, well, not kids, they're adults, but that have finished their undergrads and they're doing like master's degree, you know, or whatever it is. But they're still competing in like OUA sports in some regard, you know, or in some kind of competitive, you know. So the group we're in is a combination of jumpers, so long and triple jumpers, a few sprinters, but I think they're more like 200 runners, and then a few multidiscipline like heptathletes and decathletes. But they're with this group to do their sprint and jump work, you know, because that is obviously, that's like the majority of the decathlon. Like you have like, you know, long jump, high jump, 100, 110 hurdles. Like, you know, you got a lot of sprints and shit in there. And then they go work with another guy, with Tim Netto, who's like a high level throw coach. And they'll go work with him to do their throwing stuff or more technical stuff and other stuff. But so, yeah, but like, these kids are, I keep saying kids, but I feel like I'm an old man saying this about 25-year-old people, in the early to mid 20s, and reasonably competitive athletes. And then we have one lady who's like 65.
Really?
Yeah, but she actually competed and still trained with the club even when I was there in high school. So she's like holds like Masters World Records and like, and like, crazy records for her age groups in the world. But she's a beast, man. Like this lady, I mean, she doesn't look a day over 50 and just like gets out there and she'll just like bury us, like her endurance is amazing. She's pretty damn fast. I mean, she's like, I don't know what she is, but she's running like, 13, 14 second 100 meters and like as a female in her like mid 60s, which is pretty fucking crazy, and she's been training like consistently there for as long as I started at that club when I was in probably 2004. So like we're talking 20 years at least she's been training consistently with this club, So yeah, I mean, it's very impressive to see. So there's like, a bunch of these kids in their mid 20s, then Melissa and I in our early 30s, and then Wendy in her fucking mid 60s, So it's a mixed group for sure. Yeah. But it's cool being back around there for sure, because it's like, it's a huge sense of nostalgia for me, man. Like it's the first day you go back there, because it's like you go in there and it's like, I still know so many people, it's like you walk in, coach is like, Iain, holy shit, like good to see you. And another kid who used to be an athlete I would compete with is now a coach. He's like, oh shit, I heard you retired. It's cool to see you out here. Like I know so many people there, and it's like a facility that I trained with multiple days a week for a long time, and to see a lot of familiar faces. And then just even the training, like the nostalgia of the training, like, when he's reading out the program for the day, I'm like, fuck, I remember this shit, like I remember doing this garbage, fuck this. I don't want to do this, but it's like, it's fun, like to test yourself. But man, it's funny because the hardest things are what would seemingly be the easiest things. Like from a heart rate and difficulty standpoint, sprinting is a lot easier than for me to like jog. Like for me to jog like 800 meters or 3 laps, like, 1,200 meters, my heart rate's like 170. Yeah. But then like I'm running sprints, I'm like 145, even at 75% output. Like
a lot closer to what you've trained then.
It's closer to what I've trained, and also like that low kind of bounding or like low kind of pounding of like just up and down with 260 pounds, like on every little tiny step is like, that kills me, man. Yeah. Like that just jacks my heart rate up. It's getting better. Like even I've got to watch and I've been kind of tracking it. Like the first time when I was jogging like that, it was like my heart rate was just flying up and I could feel like I'm like gasping for air. And then like each one, it's like getting a little easier. My heart rate will be like, 2, 3, 4, or 5 beats a minute lower on that same average over that stretch. So, it's going in the right direction. So it's fun. It's fun to gauge like those, those metrics like that to see like how your body can respond and change in other ways than just like lifting more poundage or getting more reps in the gym, like heart rate and, improvement or my output, what 75% feels like one week in sprints versus what it feels the next week. And within that 75, where's my, heart rate adaptation kind of happening within there. So it's a lot of cool metrics to kind of pay attention to, but yeah, it's interesting.
Craziness.
Yeah. Do we talk about you? Like, how's your Olympia prep? You're 6 weeks out from the fucking Olympia.
Oh, that's a whole other conversation. I'm not getting into that right now.
Well, we'll leave that one for another day.
Come another day.
Yeah. Then go to Chris's YouTube and watch his monologue on that one. Yeah. Yeah. But no, I was talking about this earlier too. Like, I'm honestly so fucking excited to go to the Olympia and not be competing
and just enjoy it.
Man, like I was thinking about it, and honestly, it was one of the things that kind of led me to realize that I was making this decision was the right decision. When I know you talk to Nick Walker, you talk to these guys, Derek, Hottie, they're fucking excited to get up there. Like these guys are chomping at the bit to like compete at the Olympia. I was like, man, I'm way more excited to just like go be a fan, you know? Like I'm cool. I'm done with that. I'm ready to like, do other shit, and to just like be there at the expo and like meet people and see people and hang out at the booth and like connect with people. These are the things that I really like enjoy. And me, like I'll be sitting on my phone, like answering people's questions
you actually like people
for free for 10 hours a day. Some days I'll just sit on there, like talk to people and answer their questions. I'll put together full programs. Like I just like to talk to people and like connect with people and like give them, help them out with whatever it is they're trying to progress in, any bit of information I could give, and just honestly to be there, like to watch. I haven't watched you actually be on stage since 2019. I literally haven't seen you compete since 2019.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's like either you're doing prejudging on Saturday morning where I'm chilling back at the hotel.
8 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 8 a.m. and I'm like going to bed late the night before
You're still asleep.
so I'm generally still asleep, or if not, I'm getting up and trying to get my meals in, get coach pictures, and and I'm just like watching you on the live stream like everybody else back home, like got my laptop sitting on the counter, and then the finals, you'll be on before me, so we'll all be backstage together, and I'm just watching you on the damn monitor from backstage too.
I don't even watch you at finals. We're just both backstage.
Exactly. So we're just like sitting there watching the monitor, So like it's just like watching it from the live stream at home, the same thing. So I haven't actually seen you on stage with my own eyes looking at you in 5 years.
That's crazy.
I know. 4 years, 5 years. So it's crazy. Like I'll actually get to like, maybe I can get backstage and help you pump up and chill there and, see you and Hottie do your thing. And then I'll go sit in the crowd and be like, God, this is awesome. I can actually watch this shit.
Yeah. When I would go to your shows, because I only did the Olympia, but when I would go to yours that I wasn't competing at, I remember it being fun to like just enjoy the atmosphere
so
a little bit rather than
and even just like watch the men's open, man. Like, look, I've sat there on stage with these guys, but it's different. Like, I want to see what these guys look like sitting in the fourth row. You know, like I got a gold VIP, different. Man. I'm right up close and personal. So I'm gonna be there. I just want to watch. I want to see the best bodybuilders in the world, just as a fan. Just like watch these guys fucking kill it. And like, even though I was a competitor, I'm still a fan of the sport, and I'm a fan of a lot of these guys. I'm a fan of their physiques. I mean, I'm a huge fan of, like, I want to see how Derek looks. I'm a fan of Derek's physique. I want to see how Samson looks. I want to see Nick. Like, I want to see Hunter. I want to see what these guys look like, and I want to see it with like my own eyes, not just standing like side stage looking at them or next to them beside me. Like, you can't really tell. It's different. I want to sit there like under the lights in the fourth row, like looking at this, and be like, this is fucking awesome, like, yeah,
Fangirl,
go team, So it's going to be fun, man. Just like, it's going to be a very different Olympia experience than I've had in since a long time, I mean, I haven't even been at a booth in the Olympia.
You ever?
Yeah.
I guess, way back.
2016, So, been fucking, 7 years since I've even been at a booth at the Olympia, let alone sat and watched the damn show, 2019 was the one year I didn't qualify, but then 2018, 2020, 2021, 2022, I was competing in all those, so I didn't watch them. I didn't watch you. I didn't watch anything, I didn't even really go to the expo. I tried to like avoid all that at all costs because like I don't want to walk around and flatten my legs out, I don't want to move. I got to sit in the hotel room, put my legs up.
I don't even have the energy to talk to people. I'm just hood up.
See, I always have energy to talk to people, but that's honestly gets my problems. I think I kind of used it as like an out, as an escape, I think, and I think that was something I did. And I don't think I realized it till kind of on the outside of it, is why I would get like so excited around bodybuilding shows, is because I was using it to like mask like fear or insecurity or something else I was feeling on the other side of it, So like for now to like be there and just like actually generally enjoy the experiences and not like worry about like the getting on stage and all that is like, it's going to be so fun.
Not that background, like, oh, fuck, I got to get up there and do this.
Exactly. I got to get up there and do this, or like, how is this affecting me? It's like, when you're sitting at like the Meet the Pros, like I like sitting there and talking to all these people, but I'm like, if I sit here, I would like to sit here for fucking 4 hours, but like, I feel like I got to leave after like 1 hour. Cause like, I know this is affecting me, sitting here, it does for sure. I mean, even if you're just sitting in a chair, it's still like, there's still energy being burnt by like doing that shit, and you're walking in and out of these big friggin' buildings, like, it changes it for sure. Are you drinking? How much water are you drinking during this? Like, it's definitely changing. So yeah, just to enjoy this as like a fan, a spectator, like a supporter for you and like everybody else. Like, it's going to be fucking cool, man. So I'm definitely really pumped, and I'm happy that Raw and stuff's having a booth that we can be part of this year. So it's going to be
good timing. First, we were not thinking of it, and then last minute we're like, fuck it, let's do a booth.
So yeah, I know it's going to be really fun. I'm very, very excited, for all these things. So, and I tell you, I'm judging my first show soon.
You're judging a show?
Yeah. I'm test judging, doing judging at the Ottawas.
Really?
CPA, yeah, doing October 28th.
You have better. I can't sit down. I can feel I have a headache sitting here for fucking an hour. I couldn't watch bodybuilding like this for fucking 8 hours.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I love like looking at assessing and giving like feedback on physiques and stuff. Like, it's something I really like to do. So I'm gonna test my metal in there and see how it goes. So I'm gonna do that. But I mean, shit, man, it'd be so cool to like get to the point you can be on the other side of this where I can sit there and judge a fucking Olympia,
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
Like, just like to judge the best bodybuilders in the world, like to get to that point. And I know I can do it. Like, I know it might take time. I don't know how these kind of things operate, but like, look, I know I've got as good of an eye for bodybuilding as anybody out there in the world. So, you know, I'm completely confident in my ability to like look at physiques and break them down and assess them and see what is good and what is bad and what is right and what is wrong. And, you know, and compare physiques, you know, so it's something I just, you know, want to try my hand in because, you know, I want to try this first. I'm like, you know, if I want to start getting back into a little coaching, I got to do this first because if I take on 100 clients and I start wanting to judge, like I got to dump all the competitive clients because it's obviously a conflict of interest. So I'm like, I'll try my hand in this first before I take on some clients. If I love it, then great. I'll get in and do more of it. If not, then okay, maybe I'll take a few clients because I know that's something that I've got a lot of questions and a lot of people.
It's like a very small amount of high-level clients.
Well, yeah, because I had said for so many years when I was competing, I'm like, I'm not taking clients because I'm competing and it's tough and blah, blah, blah. All these people listened. I hope they weren't actually paying attention when I said that. And now that they know I'm retired, they're like, hey, you said that you would take clients again. I'm like, fuck, I did say that, you know? Just let me do one thing first, okay? Let me try some other things first and see what I like. And, you know, like I said, I don't know what I like. Maybe I'll love judging. Maybe I'll want to get back into coaching. Maybe I'll like coaching more that I'm not competing, you know, maybe that I can be there from a different aspect and not worry about, am I going to have clients in a show I'm competing in or X, Y, Z, you know, maybe I'll have a different, you know, newfound appreciation for it. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Do some judging, you know? Yeah. Judge Iain.
I couldn't do it, but
no, but I think it's, you know, I think that's why it takes like a certain kind of like personality and someone that like really enjoys sitting on their ass looking at physiques all day, you know, like breaking down that kind of stuff, which like, you know, I know when we do on the podcast, like I really enjoy like, you know, when we're looking at bodybuilding shows and like really assessing physiques is something like I really like to do. So, you know, who knows? It might be very different judging the Ottawas because I'm basing this off of looking at Olympia level physiques and breaking down pro shows every weekend when we're doing it. But you got to start somewhere. So if I want to get to one, I got to start with the other. So I'm willing to do the trials and tribulations to get there on the other side. So yeah, it's cool. That's what's new with me.
Beautiful.
There we go. I feel like
nothing but new shit.
I know, it's all new shit now. All's new shit. Yeah, and this is cool for me too. It's like it's 2 p.m. I've eaten one small meal today. You know,
and you don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck. I'm getting a little hungry, but I don't give a shit. It's not like I'm worried I'm withering away, but making me more excited to eat something. You know. Yeah. So it's fun. But cool. Wrap it up.
Yeah. I'm gonna pee my pants.
Yeah. I can tell I haven't drank nearly enough water. I can start feeling my
I'm gonna pee my pants.
Face getting sucked into my eyes.
But
you know?
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to stay tuned on Iain's YouTube channel. These many adventures, including the one chip challenge this weekend.
So we got.
Don't miss that shit.
You know, we'll obviously have some more workouts and stuff that'll be on yours or Raw's channels and stuff. And then I'm filming that assessment and workout I'm doing with Justin King, the sprint guy that's coming down here, so that'll be up on my channel, so that'll be cool. I have a lot of people that'll be like, we want to see what you're doing with the running and the sprinting. So that will be the first video in that. Yeah, that's coming. Other than that funny little video I put of me fast forwarded sprinting up the hill. Did you see that? Fast boy, fast as fuck boy. So that, and then I'm gonna eat that fucking chip this weekend. I'm not as excited for that as I am to do the assessment and workout with this Justin guy, but yeah, sticking to it. It's the new motto, being a yes man.
Yes, man. Jim Carrey versus Iain.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Peace.
See you.